Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. It was a typical Saturday morning, the kind where the sun poured through the kitchen window, casting warm beams over the cluttered countertop. I sipped my coffee, feeling the world slowly wake around me. My wife, Jenna, was at her usual spot, scrolling through her laptop, the gentle tapping of her fingers a comforting soundtrack to our weekends. We often discussed interesting articles we stumbled upon, diving into debates over the latest trends or intriguing pieces of news. Today, however, something felt off. Jenna had been unusually quiet, her face slightly turned away from me as she focused on the screen. I tried to shake off the feeling, convincing myself it was just my imagination. But curiosity nagged at me like an itch I couldn't scratch. I had to know what she was engrossed in. "Hey, what are you reading?" I asked, trying to peek at her screen. "Oh, just some articles on relationships," she replied, her voice casual, almost too casual. "You know, the usual stuff. Mind if I take a look?" I pushed, a hint of suspicion creeping in. Sure, go ahead," she said, not looking at me. I moved over, trying to ignore the unease in my stomach. As I opened a new tab, I noticed a link she had left open, a forum discussion. The title was intriguing, Confessions of Infidelity. My heart raced as I clicked on it, feeling a mix of dread and anticipation. The forum was filled with posts detailing the emotional turmoil of cheating, but it was the comments by a user named LovingWife99 that caught my attention. As I scrolled through her contributions, the words began to blur, replaced by a chilling realization: these were my wife's confessions. The vivid descriptions of encounters, the intimate details of her indiscretions with another man, struck me like a punch to the gut. My mind raced as I read through her confessions, each line revealing a piece of my life I thought was perfect. I could hardly breathe, the weight of betrayal hanging heavily in the air. She had been lying to me, spinning tales of love and commitment while pouring her heart out to someone else. I felt sick. "Jenna!" I exclaimed, the anger and hurt spilling out in a single breath. She turned to me, her eyes wide with shock. "What's wrong?" I could barely find my voice. "What is this?" I held the laptop toward her, the screen glaring with her words. "You've been cheating on me." Her face paled, and for a moment, silence enveloped the room. "I can explain," she stammered, her confidence shattered. "Explain? How do you explain this?" I gestured wildly at the screen, my heart pounding. "You've been writing about your encounters, every detail, while I sit here, trusting you. Please, just let me talk," she pleaded, but my fury had already taken hold. "Talk? About what? How you've been lying to me for who knows how long. How could you? Things haven't been great between us," she said, her voice trembling. I felt alone, and he was there for me. I laughed bitterly, the irony not lost on me. "So you found comfort in someone else? You thought this was the answer?" Her eyes welled with tears, but I was beyond feeling sorry for her. The betrayal was too deep, cutting through every ounce of love I thought we shared. "You're a coward, Jenna. You could have talked to me, but you chose to betray me instead." "I'm sorry," she whispered, but the words fell flat. The rage within me began to shift, transforming from hurt to a burning desire for revenge. I had been played for a fool, and I wouldn't let this slide. The thought of breaking her life, of tearing apart the world she had built with lies, filled me with a strange sense of purpose. "I'll make you regret this," I said, my voice low and steady. "You think you can just do this to me and walk away without consequences? You're mistaken." Her eyes widened in fear, realizing that this was only the beginning. "Please, don't do anything rash," she begged, but it was too late. The betrayal had ignited a fire within me that wouldn't be extinguished. I slammed the laptop shut, the finality of the action echoing in the silence. I felt a wave of determination wash over me. Jenna had chosen her path, and now I would choose mine, a path of retribution that would leave no room for forgiveness. As I walked out of the room, I could hear her sobs behind me, but I didn't turn back. The intrigue of the main plot had only just begun, and I was ready to take control. The once bright future we shared now lay in ruins, and I would make sure she understood the price of betrayal. The door slammed behind me as I stepped into the cool evening air. My heart raced, a mix of adrenaline and fury coursing through my veins. I could still hear Jenna's sobs echoing in my mind, but I pushed them aside. It was time to take action. I needed a plan, something clever and calculated that would ensure she felt the weight of her betrayal. I drove aimlessly for a while, the city lights blurring past me like the memories of happier times with Jenna. The betrayal was fresh, raw, and I could feel the rage simmering just beneath the surface. I parked my car outside a dimly lit bar, a place I knew would be filled with people willing to drown their sorrows in alcohol. I needed to think, and I needed to be around others to fuel my anger. As I walked inside, the buzz of conversation and clinking glasses filled the air. I settled onto a bar stool, ordering a whiskey neat. The warm liquid slid down my throat, igniting a fire within me. I needed to gather my thoughts, and it was time to strategize. "Hey there, buddy, rough day." The bartender, a scruffy guy with a friendly smile, slid my drink toward me. "You could say that," I replied, forcing a smile. "Just found out my wife has been cheating on me." His expression shifted from jovial to serious. "Man, that's tough. I'm sorry to hear that. You need a drink or two to help forget?" "No, I need a plan," I muttered, already feeling the wheels in my mind turning. "You want revenge, don't you?" he asked, his tone shifting to one of intrigue. "It's natural, man. You gotta do what you gotta do." I glanced around, making sure no one was eavesdropping on our conversation. "I want to make her understand the consequences of her actions. She's been living in a fantasy while I've been left in the dark." "Sounds like you need to hit her where it hurts," he said, leaning in closer. "What's your game plan?" I took a deep breath, formulating my thoughts. "I need to expose her. Not just to me but to everyone she knows. If she's been sharing her secrets on that forum, I'll make sure everyone sees the truth." The bartender nodded. "That's a good start. But you'll need proof. You should dig deeper into her online presence. There might be more to find." As I sat there, plotting my next move, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I wouldn't let Jenna's betrayal go unpunished. She had betrayed my trust, and now it was my turn to turn the tables. After a few more drinks and some casual conversation with the bartender, I paid my tab and headed home. The anger bubbled inside me, but I needed to remain composed. When I walked through the front door, Jenna was still crying, her eyes red and swollen. I couldn't muster any sympathy for her. Instead, I felt empowered. "Where's your lover?" I asked, my voice cold and steady. "What do you mean?" she sniffled, attempting to compose herself. "You know exactly what I mean. You've been sharing your little secrets online, haven't you? Do you think I'm going to let you get away with this?" She looked at me, her expression shifting from fear to defiance. "You don't understand. I was unhappy. It's not that simple." "Not that simple?" I echoed, my voice rising. "You think betrayal is simple? You think lying to your husband is justified because you're unhappy? You've made your bed, Jenna. Now you'll have to lie in it." "I'll make it right," she cried, desperation lacing her voice. "Just give me a chance to explain." "Explain? What is there to explain? You've already revealed your true colors. Now, I'm going to reveal them to everyone else." I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there, bewildered and pleading. I knew I had to act quickly. I headed to my computer, feeling the adrenaline surge through me once again. I needed to find everything I could about Jenna's online activities, and the forum was my best starting point. After an hour of digging, I uncovered posts that detailed her interactions with other users, names, dates, and more confessions. It was all there, and I felt a rush of satisfaction. I started screenshotting everything, gathering evidence like a detective piecing together a case. But I wasn't done. I had to think bigger. I needed to create a post of my own, one that would expose her for who she really was. I crafted a detailed account, writing about the betrayal, her lies, and the emotional pain she had caused me. I made sure to keep it anonymous, wanting to maintain a sense of mystery about who was behind the revelation. With every word I typed, my anger transformed into something almost euphoric. I was taking control of my narrative, and soon everyone in her circle would know the truth. I hit post, and a wave of relief washed over me. Jenna had destroyed our marriage, but I was determined to ensure she felt the consequences of her actions. The intrigue had only begun, and I was ready for the fallout that would surely follow. As I closed my laptop, I glanced back at Jenna, who was still sitting in the living room, the reality of her actions finally starting to settle in. I could see it in her eyes, fear, shame, and a flicker of recognition that her life was about to change in ways she never anticipated. And I was more than ready to watch it all unfold. The morning light filtered through the blinds, casting striped shadows across the living room floor. I awoke with a newfound sense of purpose, my mind racing with thoughts of the post I had made online. The anticipation of Jenna's reaction fueled my energy. Today would be the day I'd witness the chaos that would unfold from my actions. I walked into the kitchen, where Jenna was already brewing coffee, her movements robotic and tense. The silence between us felt heavy, thick with the unspoken truths that hung in the air. She glanced up, her eyes avoiding mine, as if the very sight of me reminded her of her betrayal. "Did you sleep well?" I asked, my tone deceptively casual. "Not really," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I can't stop thinking about everything." "Good," I said, feeling a twisted satisfaction at her discomfort. "You should be thinking about what you've done." "Please, let's talk about this," she pleaded, stepping closer. "I want to fix things. We can work through this together." I scoffed, pouring myself a cup of coffee. "You think it's that easy? You think I can just forget what you've done because you say you want to talk?" "Just give me a chance to explain," she urged, her frustration rising. "Explain what, Jenna? How you've been sharing your heart with another man while I've been here, oblivious? You've done enough explaining in those online confessions. You should read your own words." Her face paled, and I could see the realization wash over her. "You saw those. You read what I wrote." "Every last word," I said, feeling a surge of triumph. "And now everyone else is going to see it too." "What do you mean?" she asked, confusion etched on her face. I leaned against the counter, crossing my arms. "I posted about you on the forum last night. The truth will come out, Jenna. People deserve to know who you really are." You did what?" she stammered, her voice rising in disbelief. "You can't be serious." "Oh, I'm very serious. Your little secret isn't going to stay a secret for long. Everyone you know will find out what you've been doing." "You're insane," she shouted, anger flaring in her eyes. "You think this is going to solve anything? It's going to expose you for the liar you are," I shot back. "And it's going to ruin the little fantasy you've built for yourself." She stood there, stunned, as if the weight of my words was too much to bear. I relished the sight of her unraveling. "You're going to regret this," she hissed, her voice low and menacing. "Regret? No, I'm going to enjoy watching the fallout. You wanted excitement in your life, right? Well, congratulations, you've got it. With that, I walked out of the kitchen, feeling invincible. I grabbed my phone and decided to check the forum. The post was already gaining traction, comments rolling in like an avalanche. People were shocked, angry, and sympathetic, exactly the response I had hoped for. As I scrolled through the replies, I spotted a familiar name among the comments, Mark. My heart raced. He was one of Jenna's close friends, and he had no idea about her infidelity. I could only imagine the turmoil this revelation would cause within their circle. Moments later, my phone buzzed with notifications. It was Mark. "Hey, man, saw your post. Are you serious? Is Jenna cheating on you?" My fingers flew over the screen as I typed back. "Dead serious. She's been lying to all of us." "Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. I had no idea. We need to talk. Can you meet up?" "Yeah, let's do it," I replied, feeling a sense of satisfaction at the unfolding drama. I arranged to meet Mark at a nearby cafe, excitement bubbling inside me. I couldn't wait to watch the betrayal ripple through Jenna's life. This was just the beginning of my retribution. When I arrived at the cafe, I spotted Mark already seated, his face etched with concern. As I approached, he looked up, his expression a mixture of shock and confusion. "Hey, man. What's going on?" I sat down across from him, leaning in. "You read the post?" "Yeah, I did. I can't believe this is happening. Jenna has been acting weird lately, but I never thought." He shook his head, disbelief etched on his face. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to make sure everyone knows the truth," I said, my voice steady. "She needs to understand the consequences of her actions. No more hiding." Mark's eyes widened. "You think that's the best way to handle this? It could ruin her life." "She's already ruined mine," I replied, my anger flaring. "I'm just giving her a taste of her own medicine." "I get that you're hurt, but are you sure this is what you want?" he asked, concern lacing his words. "Yes," I asserted. "I've given her enough chances to be honest. This is her reckoning." As we talked, I could see the weight of the situation sinking in for Mark. He wasn't sure how to process it all. "I'll support you, but I just hope this doesn't escalate too far. I care about her too." "Then maybe you should have a chat with her," I suggested. "Let her know that her actions have consequences, and I'm not the only one who's going to be affected." "Yeah, I'll think about it," he said, but I could tell he was still torn. When I returned home later, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Jenna was pacing the living room, her expression a mixture of anger and desperation. "Mark's coming over," she announced, her tone defiant. I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What's he going to do? Defend you? You really think he'll take your side after everything?" "Stop acting like you know everything," she snapped. "You don't know him like I do." I smirked, enjoying her unraveling. "Well, let's see how well he knows you when he finds out the truth." The doorbell rang, and Jenna jumped, her eyes wide with anxiety. "What are you going to say?" "Just let me handle it," I replied, my heart racing with anticipation. As she opened the door, Mark stepped inside, his expression shifting from concern to confusion as he took in the scene. "Hey, Jenna," he said cautiously. "Mark," she replied, her voice shaky. "You okay?" he asked, looking between us. "Just fine," I said, stepping forward. "We were just discussing the little secret Jenna's been keeping from you and everyone else." Mark's face paled. "What do you mean? Why don't you ask her about the forum?" I said, a smug smile creeping across my face. "I'm sure she'd love to explain." Jenna shot me a furious glare, but I could see the panic in her eyes. I was ready for the storm to unleash, and I wouldn't back down. The intrigue was about to deepen, and I was eager to watch the fallout unfold. The atmosphere in the living room felt electric as Mark stepped further inside, his brow furrowed with concern. Jenna stood frozen, her back against the wall as if bracing herself for a storm. I relished the tension, knowing that this confrontation would reveal everything. "Jenna, what's going on?" Mark asked, his gaze darting between us. "I came here because I thought you needed support, but it seems there's a lot more happening." "Let me explain," Jenna started, her voice trembling. "You don't understand what I've been going through." I interrupted, my voice laced with cold steel. "What you've been going through? You mean what you've been doing? You've been lying to everyone, Mark. Not just me." Mark's eyes widened, confusion and anger mixing on his face. "What do you mean? What's this about?" I took a step closer, the adrenaline coursing through my veins. "She's been cheating on me with someone else, and she's been sharing all the details on a forum under a pseudonym. I've made sure everyone knows." "Is this true, Jenna?" Mark asked, his tone shifting from concern to disbelief. "Yes, but it's not that simple," she exclaimed, desperation creeping into her voice. "I was lost. I thought I could find myself again." "You found yourself in someone else's arms, didn't you?" I shot back, my anger bubbling to the surface. "This isn't about self-discovery, this is about betrayal." Mark's expression darkened, and I could see the gears turning in his head. "You have to tell me who the guy is. I can't believe you'd do this to him, to us." Jenna hesitated, her eyes darting away, and in that moment, I knew. "You don't even know, do you?" I pressed. "You don't know who you've been sleeping with." "Stop. Just stop," she cried, raising her hands as if to shield herself from the truth. "I made a mistake. A mistake that will cost you everything," I said, my voice lowering to a deadly whisper. "And now it's time for you to face the consequences." Mark's face hardened as the realization settled in. "Jenna, who is it? I need to know." She hesitated, and in that instant, I could sense the final threads of our relationship snapping. "It was someone you know," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "It was." "Just say it." I barked, unable to contain my anger any longer. "Say his name." "Daniel," she finally admitted, her voice breaking. It was Daniel. The air in the room thickened with tension. Mark's face turned pale as he processed her words. "Daniel? The guy from our group?" "Yes," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry. I never meant for you to find out like this." Mark's fists clenched at his sides, and for a moment, I feared he might lash out. "You two were supposed to be friends," he yelled, disbelief etched across his features. "And now you see how she betrays everyone, not just me," I said, stepping in front of Mark, ready to unleash the anger boiling inside me. "She's the one who threw away our marriage, and now she's going to pay for it." "Pay for what?" Jenna shouted, her voice rising in defiance. "You think you can just ruin my life and walk away?" "I'm not walking away," I replied, my tone icy. "You're the one who'll be walking away, with nothing." Before she could respond, I turned to Mark, ready to unleash my fury. "You need to know this isn't just about her, it's about the betrayal of trust. You deserve to know what kind of person she really is." "I can't believe this," Mark said, his voice thick with disbelief. "Jenna, how could you?" I was scared. "I didn't know how to fix things with him," she pleaded, desperation creeping into her tone. "It wasn't just about sex, I thought I was finding something deeper." "You thought you could play with our lives and just pretend it didn't matter?" I spat back. "You're going to regret this." With that, I stepped toward the door, my heart racing with the adrenaline of impending revenge. Jenna was losing control, and I could feel the power shifting in my favor. As I swung the door open, I turned back one last time. This is only the beginning, Jenna. You think I'm done? I'm just getting started. Please don't do this, she begged, but I was already out the door, my mind racing with the possibilities of revenge. I needed to make this personal. I was done letting her think she could walk away unscathed. I had a plan, and it would be ruthless. I drove straight to Daniel's apartment, my heart pounding as I approached the door. I could feel the anger surging through me, a torrent of betrayal and fury. I knocked hard, the sound reverberating through the hallway. "Who is it?" came Daniel's voice from inside. "Open the door," I growled, my voice low and dangerous. A moment later, the door creaked open, and Daniel's expression turned from surprise to confusion as he took in my presence. "What the hell are you doing here? Is Jenna home?" I asked, stepping into the apartment without waiting for an invitation. "Why are you asking about her?" he shot back, his eyes narrowing. "What do you want?" "I want you to know what she's been doing behind your back," I said, my voice dripping with contempt. "You think you've been the good friend? You're just as much a traitor as she is." His face paled as he realized I wasn't joking. "What are you talking about?" "She's been confessing her love for you on a forum. Did you think it was all just fun and games?" Daniel's expression twisted into one of disbelief. "You're lying." "I'm not lying. She's been using you to fill a void while pretending everything was fine with us," I hissed. "You've been nothing but a pawn in her game." "Why are you even here?" he asked, anger flaring in his eyes. "I came to give you a choice," I said, stepping closer. "You can walk away now and forget this ever happened, or you can stand beside her and watch everything fall apart." He stared at me, weighing his options, but I could see the gears turning in his mind. "You're just trying to manipulate me." "Maybe, but at least I'm honest about it. You want to keep pretending you're not a part of this mess. Fine, but you're going to regret it when it all comes crashing down." "I need to talk to Jenna," he said, his voice suddenly uncertain. "Good luck with that," I replied, my voice laced with disdain. "She's in way over her head, and she'll drag you down with her." As I turned to leave, I could hear Daniel calling after me, but I didn't look back. I had delivered my message, and now it was time to let the fallout unfold. When I returned home, I found Jenna pacing the living room, her face a mask of panic. "What did you say to him?" she demanded. "Enough," I replied, my tone icy. "You've been playing a dangerous game, and it's time for you to see the consequences." "I can't believe you'd go to him," she said, her voice trembling. "You're just trying to hurt me." "Yes, I am," I replied, my anger surging again. "You thought you could betray me and walk away with no consequences. You're going to regret every moment of this." As the weight of my words sank in, Jenna's expression shifted from anger to despair. I could see the reality of her situation dawning on her. "This isn't over," she said, her voice breaking. "You can't just ruin my life." "I already have, and I'll keep going until you understand the gravity of what you've done," I replied, my voice low and menacing. In that moment, I saw her for what she truly was, a coward who couldn't face the consequences of her actions. The betrayal had destroyed our marriage, but it would also destroy her. As the realization washed over her, I turned and walked away, leaving Jenna standing there, a shell of the person she once was. The door slammed shut behind me, echoing the finality of our relationship. I felt no sadness, no regret, only a fierce sense of closure. I had taken my revenge, and now we were free. The bonds of betrayal had shattered, leaving nothing but the remnants of a relationship built on lies. As I stepped out into the cool night air, I felt lighter, free from the weight of her deceit. I would never see her again, and I wouldn't look back. The intrigue was gone, but I knew I would carry the scars of this betrayal with me, a constant reminder of the price of trust.